Home is a safe space. Home is a place of comfort and connection. Home is a product of what we make it. So how do we choose joy for our homes? That is what we're focusing on this week here on the Bluegrass Family. This year, I set out to be more intentional about seeking out joy in my life and cultivating it in my home. We have a small family-run farm, and this farm was the beginning of a new adventure for us. There are so many things that I have learned along the way through this process, like how working with my hands can help slow down my mind for a little while. In our fast-paced society today, we can be overwhelmed with so much that we need to decompress from all of the busyness. I know that so many are making slow living popular and trendy, but many years ago, this was just the way of life. There wasn't a choice. People had to grow their own food, live off of the land, and be content with what they had. We have become so far detached from that way of living that people have started feeling the separation from their land, from their food, and from this natural way of living. We have needed to get back to this way of life to feel less anxious, and this way of living is a free way of bringing joy into our lives with intention. Home should be the first place where we are able to find joy through the loved ones who surround us, through the peace it should bring to us. Working hard is really good for us. Exercise, sunshine, and homegrown food fuels our body, not only our body really, but our minds and our spirits. It's a full circle. When we spend time putting the effort into growing and preserving and preparing our meals, our appreciation for our food also grows, which sparks joy. We feel joy for many reasons: accomplishment from hard work, providing for our families, and learning new skills. Simple living can naturally become a joyful experience. Slowing down and taking time to think and meditating on our blessings, seeking out real connection with others and being present in the moment, and finding what activities may bring us joy. I wanted to seek out joy this year with intention. I made a list of a few things that I knew would bring joy into my home: getting ducklings for our farm, raising cut flowers for fresh bouquets, and learning a new skill, which just so happened to be cooking on our Blackstone grill. The thing about joy is that it's not often tied to big fancy items. It can be a memory you want to create with your family or a special tradition like a board game night. It could be a trip you want to take to the park to have a packed picnic. It could be an ant farm for your small child or a water hose sprinkler for your kids. It could be a hike somewhere local to you to see a stunning waterfall. Joy can be found in sprouting a seed, baking your first loaf of sourdough bread, cracking the egg from your backyard chicken coop. The list goes on. Joy won't look the same for everyone, but living a slow and simple life can be a good place to start because it forces us to recognize the beauty in what nature provides, and that's free. think of simple ways to bring joy into my home, I think of warm homemade meals for dinner with family gathered around. I think of clipping fresh cut flowers with my daughter and styling bouquets to sell to our friends and neighbors. I think of fires outside with chairs and s'mores, and I think of a backyard garden where we each work together as a family to grow something new. Modest living and living below your means, living with less stuff, and living with intention, being joyful because you recognize the many blessings of this life and learn not to take a single day for granted. All of those are simple ways of bringing joy into your home and in your life, and you can start doing those today. Start small. Maybe that means decluttering a space and using it for something more efficient. Maybe you want to sprout seeds with your children or your grandchildren. Maybe you want to paint some rocks for your garden or sew something simple for the first time. Once you find your little joys, start implementing them into your life. It's not about doing all the things others are doing. It's about finding out what simple hobbies bring joy into your home and within your family. I use examples from my own home and life just because they generally aren't costly. We live slower, more simple lives, and I try not to obsess over the next fad or trend that comes around. I want to focus in on learning natural ways of living, which often involve letting go of items in order to connect more with nature itself. For me, this simply brings more joy into my home and in my life. But as you set out to find joy and to bring it into your home this week, let me know in the comments what brings you joy, preferably something simple and free. It could be a hot cup of coffee in the morning. It could be a rocking chair on your front porch to watch the sunset. It could be your loyal dog or companion. There are many ways simple things can bring joy into our lives. So go out and find your joy and bring it into your home with you. If you've been following our channel for long at all, then you know how much I love to cook. The joy of cooking sparked for me whenever I was first learning how to make a complete meal. My husband and I hadn't been together for long, and at the time, he honestly knew more of what he was doing in the kitchen than I did. I remember longing to be able to make a well-rounded meal, even if I had to cut some corners and boil a box of macaroni. Now that I've spent the last decade in the kitchen as a homemaker and a wife, I can say that it has become one of my favorite pastimes. Learning how to cook from scratch, learning the traditional Southern meals that my grandma and mom have made my whole life, and spending time making mistakes and figuring out how I like things and how my family likes their food prepared. I think that is what brings me the most joy, is that when it comes to being in the kitchen, it's food will always bring people together. The fact that food will always bring people together. I love sharing a meal with family and friends gathered around, laughing and enjoying each other's company, sharing stories, creating memories, and spreading joy. I love that food can cheer people up. It's what you bring to a tired and wore out new mom. It's what you serve to those who are grieving. It's what sets the table during all of the special holidays. Food is the centerpiece, and I love having a part in creating that centerpiece. We had some family visiting this past weekend, and so I whipped up a breakfast casserole. My daughter has been requesting this for several weeks, and I figured it was time to finally throw in together. And that's something else that I love so much about food, is that, like I've said before, these simple joys in life, one of those for me as a mom, as a homemaker, and a wife, is knowing exactly what my family loves. To hear them say, "Mom, will you please make that breakfast casserole because I just love that so much," or "Will you please make these special cookies because they're my favorite?" That to me is the most joyous compliment that I could possibly get. And when I'm in the kitchen working to create that breakfast casserole or to make those cookies and bake those cookies, and I just feel that sense of joy, because I know that whenever they come into the kitchen and they smell that casserole in the oven, or they smell those freshly baked cookies on the counter, that it will instantly bring them joy, and that they'll carry that memory with them throughout their lifetime. I hope that this video has inspired you to go out and seek joy with intention, and I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. I'll see you on Thursday.